You're listening to Mr. Credit on San Diego 1700 with local credit expert Derek Evans. Now, live in studio, Mr. Credit.
Welcome to Mr. Credit. We are live and local here in San Diego, bringing you the most important hour in radio and telling you everything that they don't want you to know about consumer credit scoring. The banks, the bureaus, the government, they all have their hands held right now. The question is, can you break through? We can help you get there. Padres still in first place by a game after winning 2 in a row, including an 8-1 victory last night against Seattle. Taking on the Cardinals tonight at home in downtown at Petco Park at 7 p.m. You can listen. If you can't make it to the game, you can listen right here on San Diego 1700, 7 p.m. Save this station in your dial. Today we're going to be talking about some credit scoring myths. It's vote time. If you don't know what we're voting on, I'm going to go through them one by one. Tell you what, I'm going to vote. I'm just going to tell you. You know, I've got nothing to hide, nothing to shame. Also going to go through another chapter of Automated Injustice. But first, we're going to get to the news. Got quite a few things going on in the news regarding credit, which is good. I mean, it's good that we can at least have a starting point. The problem is if you just go and read the news, you're not going to actually have the right information because they disguise the real message, usually with the headline and a first paragraph. But I will dissect it for you. This one is about ATM fees. Pretty interesting. It's the National Association of Federal Credit Unions. They've actually written the Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and the Minority Leader Mitch McConnell over its concern with an amendment capping ATM fees. So there's potentially an amendment out there that's going to cap ATM fees. I'm a big proponent of this idea. I mean, it stinks when you don't have any cash. You need cash. You go and you get it, and you need like $20, and they hit you for $5. I mean, I know it sounds good to the banks, but it's just a little bit annoying to see the account go down $25, and I only got 20 in my wallet. So I'm a fan of that. Let's ignore those letters, Mr. Reid and Mr. McConnell. Let's cap those ATM fees. Everybody needs their money more than the banks do. This one was interesting. TransUnion did a survey. Remember, with TransUnion, they're one of the 3 credit bureaus. They're the one that's private in the sense that we don't know what's going on with them. They're a privately held company. They're not publicly traded on any exchange across the globe. And we also know that Penny Pritzker, the chairperson for TransUnion, is on President Obama's Economic Advisory Board. So, there's some interesting, things going on there. But listen to this survey. It says, TransUnion survey, consumers may need less debt consolidation help. So if there's a silver lining to the Great Recession and its oh-so-slow recovery, it's this. A smaller number of consumers may be heading toward debt consolidation. That's because the recession might have taught consumers how important it is to save money and pay off debt. The recession also led to the federal government's Credit Card Act of 2009, new legislation that placed stricter regulations on the way credit card companies can operate. We already know that was just a piece of legislation, which means that the banks already found the loopholes. Remember, you make the minimum payment. They're still applying the principle from that to the lowest percentage balance you have on your credit card, not to the highest. It's only the payments above the minimum. They've already figured out a way around that. Not to mention, what are you talking about? What are you talking about saving? Might have taught consumers how important it is to save money and pay off debt. Consumers need less debt consolidation. Says who? Who says that? That's not what I'm seeing. This is just another shotgun approach that they take at trying to get into your head. They're trying to make you feel bad if you have debt. Remember, it's all about shame. That's the reason why people think that filing for bankruptcy is so bad. They constantly try to shame you with stuff like this. They built it in subliminal messaging. They've got it built into everything that they're doing. If you don't think that this TransUnion survey passed across at least someone in the administration's desk before it came out, you're crazy. Of course. They're trying to make it sound like, hey, the government's Credit Card Act of 2009 is doing all these good things and people don't need to consolidate debts anymore because they're paying them off. What are you talking about? Credit card debts are as high as they've ever been right now, and they're going to go higher. The only reason that they might not is because the banks and the credit card issuing companies are cutting the limits of the consumers who have the credit card significantly. Without notice, sometimes with just cause, sometimes without. And because of that, people won't be able to charge more. That's the only reason. They would if they could, because that's the way that our society lives. But this is just hard for me to stomach. I can hardly stand to read something like this that is obviously incorrect. They even go on to say the Great Recession. They call it the Great Recession, and it's oh so slow recovery. But they're painting the silver lining that consumers need less debt consolidation help. Disagree. I can't tell you how many people contact me on a daily basis to try to figure out what the best way to consolidate their debts is. Questions about what about student loans? Should we do, should we grab all the credit card debt and try to throw it in, apply for a new card and transfer it all there? Should we be looking at paying off auto loans early, or what should we be doing to ultimately save ourselves the most money? And a lot of times it's the robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's transferring one debt from, bank A to bank B. And that doesn't really get you anywhere. There's usually fees involved. Maybe you get a better interest rate. It might make sense depending on your budget. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but I get this question all the time. All the time. And they're trying to tell you that if you have debt and you're not saving money, that you're a bad person, that you're not like everyone else. You're one of the few who's not getting it. Well, let me explain this to you. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. If you've got a lot of credit card debt, so do a lot of people. Most people. Most people do. Now, one of the things I recommend people do who have a lot of credit card debt is consider Chapter 7 bankruptcy. It's one of the myths we're going to go over later in the show. Chapter 7 bankruptcy can wipe out all of your credit card debt. Wipe it out clean. Damn! And it's real. You can also have a very good credit score afterwards. And that's the reason I like it, because you can get rid of your debts, your credit card debts, wipe them out. Cost you a couple $1,000 roughly, with the attorney fees and with the court costs and so forth. And you can have no more credit card debt. How quickly is that going to pay for itself? Not to mention your credit score is likely to go much higher. Everyone knows the only person I recommend for this is William McDonald with the McDonald Legal Group. You can call him right now to get a free consultation. It's 858-437-0103. Just call William. They'll set up a time for you to come in, talk about it. You can at least become educated as to whether it's something you should be considering or not. If you have a lot of credit card debt and you're having trouble making the payments, I highly recommend you give him a call right now. 858-437-0103. I don't want to hear anything from TransUnion again anytime soon, because I'm a race car in a red on that one, and I might blow up like a mushroom cloud, and nobody wants to see that. This one coming from the Senate, what they're trying to do is they're trying to exclude car dealers from the consumer rules. So this big financial overhaul that's occurring right now, all this legislation that's going, there's no way you could possibly know about all of it. Unless you spent your entire day studying it, you would have absolutely no idea what's going on. For me,
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
I can handle it, but the problem is I don't have time to go into it all in detail. Now, in this situation, what's happening is, listen to this story from Washington. In a rare defeat for President Barack Obama, the Senate on Monday called for auto dealers to be excluded from the regulations of a proposed Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So the non-binding 60-30 vote provides direction to lawmakers as they assemble broad Senate and House bills setting new, sweeping controls on Wall Street. Now, why is it that they would want to exclude auto dealers from these consumer rules? Hasn't it been kind of just known that auto dealers, they pull sneaky tricks, they do stuff like this, that they're trying to wheel and deal all the time, trying to get over on you? Isn't that just kind of the general consensus? And I don't think that's true with every auto dealer, but if that's kind of the general consensus, that's kind of the way people think and feel about it, why in the world are we trying to exclude them from these consumer rules that we have decided as a legislature are needed in our financial world? Why? What's the point here? I mean, if we're going to legislate, let's do it. Let's not do it halfway. Let's get the whole thing done. And let's make sure that everybody's playing by the same rules. I don't like that you have to play by these rules, but he gets to play by a different set of rules. I don't like that. That's never a good thing. But why would they be doing it? Well, think about it like this. I mean, our country, you and me, John Q. taxpayer, owns 60% of GM and Chrysler and maybe some other companies too. I don't know. We own the auto dealers. We had to buy them because they went out of business. They went away. And if they come crying to the government, guess what happens? More money gets printed and handed to them. Here, go figure it out. Cash for clunkers. Unbelievable. But they're doing it. And we own them now. Since we put down the money, we own them. So all of a sudden what you're going to see happen is you're going to start seeing special rules. Now, is that a bad thing for us as the quote-unquote shareholders of these companies? No.